Does anyone remember what it was like when we all last met together in the office? Me neither. I hope you've all been enjoying the flexibility and productivity that has come from working at home for the last 16 plus months. We are members of Snapchat's logistics team, and we are responsible for optimizing Snapchat's profit along with worker productivity based on logistics. Our group consists of Joseph Firestone, Ellie Kim, Sylvia Morin, and myself, David Rajewski. Before diving into the presentation, I'd like to go over the agenda. I'll be starting with a high-level workplace summary, then hand it over to Sylvia, who will give a few details about where Snapchat stands today before she presents our bottom line upfront proposal. After Sylvia, Joe will take a deeper dive into the pros and cons of our proposal. Ellie will then talk about other considerations, such as behavioral and mental health implications, before delivering our conclusion. We will then open it up for a Q&A session. COVID changed the traditional workplace as we once knew it. Prior to the pandemic, most employees worked from the office. Because of COVID, employees worldwide were forced to work from home for the duration of the pandemic. The pandemic catalyzed a shift in the traditional workplace culture from working in office to working from home. Even before the pandemic ended, a number of other tech software-based companies, such as Google, Twitter, and Amazon, announced initiatives to permanently migrate to a full work from home schedule. Now, post-COVID, over half of Americans prefer to continue working remotely, and even 2/3 of companies may permanently change to work from home. According to the US Census Bureau, the average time it takes to travel to work has been steadily increasing since 2006. In 2019, the average commute was just under 28 minutes. By eliminating that commute, the average employee gets nearly an hour back in their day, allowing them to work more or spend extra time with their family. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week adds up to about 20 hours a month. There are many benefits to transitioning to full-time work from home. Next, Sylvia will go into deeper detail about some key Snapchat statistics and our proposals so that we keep up with the changing workplace dynamic.
Thank you, David. I would like to talk now about some of Snapchat's financial statistics. Snapchat generated 2.5 billion revenues in 2020, a 47% increase compared to prior year. Snapchat's stock value has increased tremendously, over 350% from 2020 to 2021. Over 280 million people use Snapchat daily. 38% are located in the US. We have approximately 4,000 full-time employees, which are mostly involved in engineering roles as design, development, support, and manufacture. Our largest expense is lease expense. Our headquarters in Santa Monica in California and 18 office locations across 10 countries costs us about $60 million a year. We would like to save this cost by implementing work from home model. Let me go to the next slide. Therefore, our proposal is, as a leading multimedia and social networking company, Snapchat should transition its current employees to 100% work from home model. Snapchat is a cloud-based company, which makes the transition easier than other companies who offer tangible products or services. Snapchat could be the industry leader by offering work-life balance while facilitating a better growth rate. Corporate work culture around the world is moving away from physical presence and moving towards online connection through the technology and social media. Therefore, our team proposes that Snapchat should transition to 100% work from home, and Joe will dive into more details of moving to the remote model. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. As we transition, what 2020 provided us was a boots on the ground look into what this at-home work model is for us as a company and can be as we move forward to the future. It provided an inside look into some immediate pros, as well as helped us project some pros 5, 10, 20 years down the line. It also presented some cons and how we could help get ahead of and tackle those moving forward, as well as gave a look into some other factors that really were unforeseen before were really thrusted into this model in 2020. So I first wanted to look at the benefits. As touched on earlier, a major benefit is the time saved on commute travel. We really wanted to focus in on the employee workday. Here at Snapchat, we have the traditional working hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But what this didn't take into account was how long it takes for the employee to get from their house to the office and vice versa from the office to the home. Obviously, this model eliminates that commute altogether. And what we saw was an immediate increase in employee morale. It allows for increased employee flexibility, allows them more rest and sleep, and allows them to be most productive during the working hours. It also gave them an opportunity to capitalize on the advantages of being at home, the at-home comforts, whether that's making your kids or spouse breakfast in the morning, being able to take a break to take your dog on a quick walk or take care of your pet, or as we all know, take a Zoom with your sweatpants on. We also wanted to look into what this model means for us as we project forward, expanding our capabilities as a company. We wanted to take some of the resources and look at how we could use resources saved, whether that's from leases or utilities, and reinvest that back into the employee, back into the company. Investing in employees' resource, investing in their at-home office, providing state-of-the-art technology, investing in their physical space, whether that be their desk, making sure they have a comfortable chair to work in, proper lighting, making sure they have the proper office supplies. And one of the biggest advantages that we project from this model is expanding our hiring capabilities. No longer is the hiring process going to be regional for us, meaning no longer are we constrained to employees that are able to travel to a physical office space. We are now able to tap into a much larger employee pool, whether that's across the United States or even across the globe. With this, we believe we could build a stronger and more diversified company as we are able to attract the most competitive applicants to any given open position. Next, I wanted to take a look at some of the cons that we've seen and how we could get ahead of tackling those. The first immediate is tech issues. We never want to lose in-person contact, lose contact with an employee due to a downed computer or down internet. We want to make sure that the employee knows when issues arise, we have the resources to get ahead of them. We also need to touch on those at-home temptations. Some of them are less controllable, whether that be your kids at home, pets, family obligations. Others, we believe, are a bit more controllable. That is, turning off the TV, making sure you're not playing video games, and not being on the golf course during work hours. A major thing that we want to focus on with this proposal is keeping up with our company's identity. That is, making sure that we define and continue to have the company culture that has separated us from our competition. Obviously, not being in a physical office space, there are some challenges as you are not next to your coworkers or working directly with your team, rather you are working through a screen. We want to make sure that employees are comfortable with this model. We want to foster interaction and team engagement. We want to make sure they're staying connected, and we want to help define the workspace and time to make sure the employee is eliminating distractions and can focus in on Snapchat, their teammates, the company during work hours. There are some other factors that arise as we went through this model in 2020. And for that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Ellie, to take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. As we were exploring the pros and cons of moving 100% remote work for Snapchat, we had to consider other factors like employee behavioral and mental health and changes in the work dynamic. For the majority, going to work is a complicated mix of emotional and physical effort. We derive much of our energy from our engagement to our work and to our coworkers. These factors are not translatable to dollar figures or other metrics, but we believe is important to consider. According to the Pew Research Center, 89% of employees working from home use online conferencing services like Zoom or WebEx to keep in touch with coworkers. 57% of employees use instant messaging platforms to also keep in touch with their coworkers. Research shows that workplace camaraderie between coworkers can be built digitally and doesn't necessarily have to be face-to-face. Also, 65% of teleworkers find online tools as a good substitute in replacement for in-person contact. 63% of teleworkers who use video conferencing systems do not experience Zoom fatigue. In fact, having less barriers to work, like putting on makeup, driving to work, and attaining greater flexibility to tend to one's needs in that time can improve overall employee behavioral and mental health. In conclusion, we recommend Snapchat to implement a 100% work from home model, as majority of their demographics are white men in the ages of 26 to 45. According to the research, the millennial generation find adjusting to work relatively easy compared to the baby boomer generation or Gen X. This is due to the younger age group who are statistically more likely to be single and have less responsibilities like childcare compared to the older age group. Also, because 65.7% of the employees are men, studies have shown that more men prefer to telework than women. Thank you for listening to our analysis and recommendation of Snapchat's work model. If you have any questions, we will take a moment to address them now. Thank you.